of the curvature of the Earth. Remember that? That's right. There apparently is a curve on the Earth.
Well, you know, it's true. And also, you know, the first civilization to introduce the globe was the Roman Empire.
Scientists themselves
oval, right?
tell us that you have to be 50 miles up to be able to see the curvature of the globe.
And the Earth is
Flat.
the Earth is flat.
My reality, my senses tell me that the Earth is flat and stationary.
Yeah, you see, I'm lost for words. It's probably the most nonsensical suggestion that a thinking human being could possibly make. It is drivel.
Flat Earth. It's one of those ideas that should have died out centuries ago, buried under the weight of maths, physics, and, you know, just look at a boat sailing away. And yet here we are. Whether it's taking a spirit level onto a plane to prove it flies level, or spending $20,000 on a ring laser gyroscope to prove the Earth isn't rotating.
Recently, we've carried out an experiment to test the rotation of the Earth. If the Earth is spinning at one rotation every 24 hours, that means that every hour it has to turn 15 degrees. And if the gyroscope is mounted anywhere on Earth, it's going to drift. In today's 21st century navigation systems, they're using what's called a ring laser gyroscope. It is extremely precise. If we could simply get one of these ring laser gyroscopes, we would be able to prove once and for all that there is no rotation to the Earth.
But the only thing flat earthers have ever proved is that the Earth is definitely not flat.
But what we found is when we turned on that gyroscope, we found that we were picking up a drift.
The contemporary flat earth movement, far from being a fringe belief held by isolated individuals, has blossomed into a formidable global online community. This digital spectacle is continuously fueled by an ever-growing deluge of YouTube proofs, captivating TikTok theories, and a persuasive, often deep-seated distrust of established governmental and scientific institutions. Its proponents convene at dedicated conventions and even conduct public experiments to validate their worldview. Yet it's crucial to understand that this phenomenon wasn't always relegated to the realm of modern conspiracy theories. In fact, the conceptual origins of a flat Earth considerably predate the current trend of eccentric online personalities and content creators who've come to define the modern flat Earth movement. But where did all this madness begin? Well, to answer that, I'm going to need to take you right back to the beginning. Very funny, I didn't mean that far. For millennia, humanity widely accepted the Earth as flat, and this wasn't due to a grand conspiracy, but rather simple common sense. Imagine living 4,000 years ago, your feet rested on flat ground, and the sun and moon traversed the flat horizon. Walking for hundreds of miles would reveal no curvature. Consequently, ancient civilizations such as the Babylonians and Egyptians depicted the world as a floating disk because it was their best interpretation based on direct observation. However, the ancient Greeks, with their characteristic intellectual curiosity, began to challenge these long-held beliefs. Philosophers like Pythagoras and Aristotle made astute observations. But the true breakthrough came with Eratosthenes, a Greek mathematician who, around 240 BC, ingeniously employed shadows and geometry. He not only deduced that the Earth was round, but also calculated its circumference with remarkable precision. His method was straightforward. He measured the shadows of two sticks in different cities at the same time and used the angle to determine the Earth's curve. Now, a quick online search for Eratosthenes' shadow experiment will confirm this proof. Science didn't merely hypothesize a spherical Earth, it conclusively demonstrated it, time and time again.
So tell me, Neil, is the Earth flat?
We have video from space of the rotating spherical Earth. The Earth is round. There are people who think Earth is flat,
Right.
but recognize that the moon is round. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and the sun are all spheres, but Earth is flat.
By the age of exploration, the scientific consensus firmly established the Earth as round. Figures like Ferdinand Magellan famously circumnavigated the globe, an endeavour entirely dependent on its spherical nature. The Enlightenment, coupled with advances in Newtonian physics and astronomy, completely eradicated any lingering doubt.
At the dawn of the space age, in the late 50s and 60s, we were able to see for ourselves that our beautiful home is a gorgeous round object known as a sphere. And that was really special. It put ourselves into context of our solar system and our universe. We have a big round sun and a beautiful round Earth and a round Mars. And today, we use the roundness of Earth, the spherical Earth, to use methods in space geodesy to figure out where we are, where we're going. I haven't been lost in years. That's pretty good. What's happening to the Earth? What's happening to our oceans as we take the pulse of our planet? And consider other worlds beyond as we explore those.
So, if science had already settled this with all the certainty of a sledgehammer to a teacup, why did Flat Earth come back? Enter the father of the modern Flat Earth movement and the original douche canoe, Samuel Rowbotham. Now, this guy was a real piece of work. In 1865, he published a book called Zetetic Astronomy, Earth Not a Globe. He was like the proto-YouTuber of his era, stirring up controversy for attention and cash. His whole method, which he called zetetic, was to rely on personal observation and dismiss what he couldn't see.
Yeah, everybody here can agree on absolutely one thing, which is it is not a globe.
His most famous work? The Bedford Level experiment. He claimed a 6-mile stretch of water was perfectly flat, and while observers using a telescope from a different perspective could clearly see the curvature, Rowbotham would just twist the evidence to fit his own worldview.
In the summer of 1838, Samuel Burley Rowbotham performed what has become known as the Bedford Level experiment. Standing in the middle of the Bedford Level Canal with a telescope, he was able to watch a friend row a boat along the length of the perfectly straight canal for 6 miles, where the boat should have been 16 feet below the horizon, thus proving that the Earth is flat.
And a simple Google search for the Bedford Level experiment will show you how thoroughly his work has been debunked. But he didn't care. He toured the country giving lectures and holding public debates with scientists, always arguing in bad faith, making wild claims that the audience, unfamiliar with the technical details, found compelling. Now, after his death, his work was carried on by people like Lady Elizabeth Blount, who started the Universal Zetetic Society. They kept the flame alive, but it was still very much a fringe belief, limited to a small group of highly eccentric people.
1, 2, 3, we're crazy!
Fast forward to the 1950s. A British sign painter named Samuel Shenton forms the International Flat Earth Research Society, and this is where things start to shift from fringe pseudoscience to full-blown conspiracy.
The first thing would have popped up into my head is like to just fucking shoot the moon. Shoot it! Shoot it! Shoot it! It's the only way you could see the moon and the sun at the same time is if they were enclosed. When really, in reality, all we are is just a flat Earth covered with a dome. Shoot it! Shoot it! Shoot it! That's the moon. Can you see that? Do you see that? Shoot it! Shoot it! Yeah, that's the day moon. Shoot it! Shoot it! Right there. And there's the sun. Shoot it!
The space race was beginning, and the US and the Soviets were throwing satellites and astronauts out into orbit.
We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills.
Instead of seeing this as proof of a round Earth, Shenton saw it as a massive, elaborate hoax. And when Shenton passed away, the society was taken over by Charles K. Johnson, a man who, from 1972 until his death, ran the operation from his house in California. Johnson pushed the idea that all space exploration, NASA, the moon landings, the whole shebang, was a massive fabrication designed to deceive the public. He was the one who truly merged Flat Earth with the deep-seated distrust of government that we all know today. But the real game changer was the internet.
And when he shook my hand, I tell you something, I still feel it. I felt like you're shaking hands with the devil, right? I felt it. I'm very sensitive to energetic feelings. The same thing happened when McToon shook my hand.
This broadcast is for entertainment purposes only. That would be best. Thank you for watching.
Just stop this bullshit.
Now, in the early 2010s, with the rise of YouTube, forums and social media, this small, hobbling society got a brand new, unfiltered megaphone. The algorithms, which are designed to keep you watching, started connecting people who watched one conspiracy video after another, creating a rabbit hole that eventually led them straight to the flat earth. It created a community, a sense of belonging, and a way for believers to reinforce each other's biases without any outside challenge.
The 24-hour sun in Antarctica doesn't work on a flat earth. It works in the north, but not in the south. Well, guess what? There's thousands of videos of the 24-hour sun from Alaska and Norway and, very northern places. You can book vacations and go and watch it in June, right? But in December, the same thing should happen in Antarctica, and it doesn't. And there's 4 videos where they've clearly faked it.
Flat Earth went from a few hundred members to a global phenomenon in just a few short years. Now, just like any widespread infection, we needed a way to fight back. A new wave of camera-wielding fact-checkers rose to the challenge, though, leveraging the very platforms that fueled the conspiracy's growth. Channels such as Simon Dan, renowned for his meticulous breakdowns of pseudoscientific claims.
Can this flat earther do the impossible and make a model work? Let's find out.
Fight the Flat Earth, pioneering, directly addressing and refuting the core tenets of the Flat Earth belief.
I know for a fact that after December he's not going to be a flat earther anymore. This is the end of Jeranism being a flat earther. We're all seeing it live.
Dave McKeegan, who brought a relatable, often humorous perspective to complex scientific concepts.
Flat earthers bring up flight routes and flight diversions as apparent proof that the Earth can't be a globe, though these usually involve some serious misrepresentations or misunderstandings.
And even my channel emerged from the sheer necessity to debunk the overwhelming volume of this absurdity. Now, the rapid growth of the debunking community is a direct and undeniable result of the conspiracy's unprecedented online proliferation. We are no longer confronting a handful of isolated eccentrics sharing fringe theories in a dusty old garage. We're battling a sophisticated digital algorithm that actively thrives on controversy, sensationalism, and engagement, regardless of the factual accuracy. This new landscape demands a multifaceted approach, and we're armed with a powerful arsenal, rigorous facts, unwavering reason, and crucially, a healthy dose of humour to keep ourselves and our audiences engaged in what can quite often feel like an uphill battle. Ever wondered who the hell Jack Shit actually is? Jack Shit is the only son of Oh Shit and Oh Shit. Oh Shit, the fertilizer magnate, married Oh Shit, the owner of Knee Deep in Shit Incorporated. And in turn, Jack Shit married No Shit, and the deeply religious couple produced 6 children. Holy Shit, Full of Shit, Give a Shit, Bullshit, and the twins Deep Shit and Dip Shit. All against her parents' objections, Deep Shit married Dumb Shit, a high school dropout. And after being married for 15 years, Jack and No Shit divorced. No Shit later married Mr. Sherlock, and because her kids were living with him and she wanted to keep her previous name, she was then known as No Shit Sherlock. Deep Shit married Load of Shit, and they produced a nervous son called Chicken Shit. Full of shit and give a shit were inseparable throughout childhood and subsequently married the Happens brothers in a dual ceremony. The wedding announcement in the local newspaper announced the Shit Happens wedding. They even created a bumper sticker and made millions. You've probably seen it.
He's a useless shite, that boy. Punish him for me, Errol.
The fight isn't just about presenting evidence, it's about engaging the audience, fostering critical thinking skills, and building resilience against the persuasive influence of online disinformation. Now, there's no denying that Flat Earth went from a genuine belief based on limited observations to a fringe pseudoscience kept alive by a few eccentrics to a full-blown internet conspiracy theory. But at every stage, it tells us less about the shape of our planet and more about the shape of human belief. It's a story about trusting your eyes over proven facts, about preferring a simple, even nonsensical explanation to a complex scientific one, and about how a shared identity rooted in opposition can be more powerful than objective truth. So maybe the real question isn't why do people think the Earth is flat? It's why do we keep needing to prove it isn't? And when do we get to just have a good laugh at the absurdity of it all?
The first thing would have popped up into my head is like to just fucking shoot the moon. Shoot it! Shoot it! Shoot it! It's the only way you could see the moon and the sun at the same time is if they were enclosed. When really, in reality, all we are is just a flat Earth covered with a dome. Shoot it! Please subscribe.
The familiar image of a beautiful blue marble suspended in the blackness of space is universally recognised. This imperfect sphere is a reality we all accept. From educational materials to popular films, the idea of a spherical Earth is deeply embedded in our collective understanding. We see it in satellite images, and we are captivated by its tranquil beauty. It's a reassuring and familiar picture, reflecting our trust in the scientific consensus. But what if it was all a lie? What if our entire reality was nothing more than a giant soundstage with a fake moon, a wall of ice, and a script handed down by a shadowy cabal? This isn't just a quirky conspiracy theory. For some people, it's a fundamental truth that challenges everything we thought we knew. Mark Sargent was, by all accounts, a pretty normal guy. He was born in Boulder, Colorado in 1969. He navigated the rapidly growing digital landscape of the late 20th century, spending 2 decades immersed in the world of information technology. His career wasn't about building hardware, but rather about building minds. He specialised in training people in proprietary software, demystifying complex systems for countless users. He was a man of the digital age, a self-confessed gamer, comfortable with the logical frameworks of code and algorithms. His life, you might say, was meticulously constructed on the bedrock of logic and empirical data. So, how does a person so deeply rooted in the digital landscape, a world defined by its precision and verifiable facts, end up embracing a belief system as unconventional as the flat Earth theory?
Number 1, long distance photography. Number 2, gravity versus the vacuum of space. Number 3, the eclipse shadow is too small. The number 4 would be the moon temperature being cold. And number 5 is the Van Allen radiation belts. Are they deadly, yes or no?
How did he transition from a world of observable physics and satellite communication to a conviction that the moon is just a light on a display system? His personal life played a significant role into his journey into conspiracism. In interviews, Sargent has stated that being single was a major contributing factor to his discovery and belief in the flat Earth.
So yeah, flat Earth. That's what I do. 24/7. I was 46 and living in Boulder, Colorado. And again, I never got married or had kids, for better or worse. And so I had a lot of free time on my hand.
Has he not heard of porn? He explained that unlike many people who get married and have children, he had a huge amount of free time on his hands, which he used to explore these ideas.
I was well versed in just about every conspiracy you can think of. I had heard about every conspiracy. Flat Earth was the last book on the shelf. It was the DVD that somebody gave you for Christmas that you knew you were never gonna open because the title was horrible. It's like How to Make a Poop Sandwich, or Poop Sandwich Volume 3. But when you get bored enough with normal conspiracies, you're looking for something new. There was a certain novelty to it.
The year was 2014, a summer much like any other. But for Mark, a quest had presented itself to thoroughly debunk a flat Earth video. He approached this task with the confidence of somebody well versed in critical thinking, ready to dismantle fallacies with logical precision. It sounded simple enough, a mere intellectual exercise, a quick victory of reason over absurdity. However, Mark was about to make a crucial error, one that would dramatically alter his understanding of the world. He pressed play on that video, his mind at the ready with an arsenal of counter-arguments, each point meticulously prepared to expose the flawed premises and faulty conclusions he'd anticipated. He watched, poised to dissect, to ridicule, to ultimately triumph in his mission of disproving what he had believed to be a preposterous notion. Yet as the minutes ticked by, something entirely unforeseen began to unfold. The anticipated satisfaction of easy debunking was replaced by a creeping unease, then a hesitant intrigue, and finally, a shocking revelation.
The German video, the guy was talking about flight paths in the southern hemisphere, how they didn't make sense. And then I stumbled across a video by Matt Boylan, and he was a contract artist for NASA.
I guess this is a photo of the Hubble telescope taking a picture of itself. Unbelievable.
Instead of finding the easy targets for his skepticism, he found himself grappling with arguments that, to his astonishment, resonated in a way he hadn't imagined. The intellectual tables had been dramatically turned. The student, once so sure of his enlightened position, had become the master, or more accurately, the skeptic became the believer. So, what did Mark believe was happening? Now, according to Sargent, our entire known reality is an enclosed system, a cosmic terrarium meticulously constructed and maintained. Now, he's frequently likened it to an elaborate film set, describing it as a big soundstage with walls and a floor, implying an intentional design and a controlling hand. And the ultimate analogy, the one he returns to again and again to encapsulate his entire worldview? The Truman Show.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Now, for Sargent, just as Truman Burbank unknowingly lived his entire life within a meticulously crafted television set, humanity was likewise confined within a fabricated reality, unaware of the artificial boundaries and the hidden puppeteers pulling the strings. And this grand concept suggested a grand deception, a deliberate concealment of our true surroundings and the vastness beyond our perceived cosmos. It raised questions about the nature of our existence, the purpose of this enclosure, and the identities of those who orchestrated such a profound illusion. A conspiracy so vast that the best and the brightest didn't figure it out until about 1960. And then they decided to keep it all a secret. And who are they? The super rich, the powers that be, or the highest authority. In this new flat cosmology, the globe is a lie.
Professionals from different walks of life, military from all branches, pilots, engineers, surveyors, flight instructors, many going on record, all singing the same tune. They had all heard about the curvature of the Earth and how it spins, but none of them used it in their calculations, even when they should have.
In the Sargent verse, Antarctica isn't a continent. It's a giant wall of ice surrounding the circumference of the Earth, preventing anyone from, falling off the edge, I assume. The stars and planets are nothing more than lights attached to a dome. And to make his model truly comprehensive, Mark folded in other conspiracies, claiming that astronauts are all Freemasons and that Bigfoot is a very real creature. Because why stop a flat Earth when you can have a flat Earth with a cryptid running round on it? So by 2018, Mark Sargent, a prominent figure in the Flat Earth community, had cultivated a dedicated online following. However, despite his growing influence, he largely remained a niche personality with various online forums and platforms. But this dynamic shifted dramatically with the release of the Netflix documentary Behind the Curve.
So Mark called and said that he was a member of the Flat Earth Society.
Yep.
And I said, oh, Mark, what are you on to now?
How do you know it's a globe? Well, it's because you saw this. It's not like you've been up there in your Jetsons car. Nobody's got a spaceship. You've been looking at this for 30 years. Yeah, you can throw that away.
The film's director, Daniel J. Clark, made a pivotal decision that distinguished his documentary from previous examinations of fringe beliefs. Instead of resorting to mockery or caricature, Clark opted for a profoundly humanistic and empathetic approach to his subject.
The idea people have of flat earthers is totally wrong. You know, they think they're total idiots and they live in their mom's basement and they believe everything anyone tells them. It's quite the opposite. We test everything. We're all either super successful or doing our own thing, and I've met hundreds of flat earthers and none of them are living in their mom's basement, so.
The direct consequence of this directional choice was an unprecedented surge in visibility for Mark Sargent and the Flat Earth as a whole movement. Behind the Curve's widespread distribution on Netflix, a global streaming platform, exposed the Flat Earth community to a massive mainstream audience that might otherwise never have encountered these ideas at all. The documentary sparked widespread discussion both online and offline, leading to increased media attention and a significant boost in interest in the Flat Earth as a topic. Now, Sargent, once a figure primarily known within specific online circles, was propelled into a more public spotlight, becoming the recognizable face associated with the Flat Earth movement.
It's 2019 Los Angeles, and here we are at a conference talking about the most insane topic to ever hit social media, Flat Earth. And this is only one of several conferences that will be taking place this year, all of them working towards the goal of changing the world, making an old truth new again, and possibly, quite possibly, creating a new golden age.
Now, a persuasive aspect of human psychology, particularly in the realm of belief, is that it often isn't about the object pursuit of truth or the desire to be proven right. Instead, it frequently stems from a deeper, more fundamental human need. The desire to feel special, to possess exclusive knowledge, to be privy to a secret that has eluded the masses. And this psychological underpinning is profoundly evident in movements like the Flat Earth community.
Who am I? My name is Math Powerwood. I'm the reason why Edward Snowden spoke up.
The amateur astronomers will say, I can see the moons of Jupiter. Go to a planetarium. Does Jupiter look like a sphere to you? Yes, I know. You're saying, well, they all look spherical, but we're the only things that's flat. It's like, no, you're in a building and everything you see isn't what you think it is.
Now, for individuals like Mark Sargent, a prominent figure in that movement, and the thousands who subscribe to his views, the concept of a flat Earth transcends a mere physical description of our planet. It evolves into an entire world view, a distinct lens through which to interpret reality. Now, this sense of exclusivity, of belonging to an enlightened few, can be incredibly compelling, even when faced with overwhelming empirical evidence that contradicts the belief.
We don't see you, Enrique. Lift up your light way above your head. Interesting.
So, what are my thoughts on Mark Sargent? He does genuinely seem like a nice guy. He's never confrontational. He seems like he would be very easy to have a conversation with. Is he completely wrong with virtually every word out of his mouth? Yeah, of course he is. He's a flat earther. But what I really don't understand is how a guy can go from a job in the tech industry, an industry that relies on data, to being a flat earther where you have to completely ignore data. And his flat earth points, they're just completely ridiculous and, dare I say, childish. He's clearly just heard other flat earthers who came before him say those exact things, and he's just gone with it. But going back to what I said about him not being confrontational, it hasn't escaped my notice that, for example, Eric Dubé has got his 200 proofs that the earth is flat. Well, Mark is clever because he doesn't claim anything definitively. He just publishes flat earth clues, whatever the hell they are. And thank you to the person who found this clip for me, because I searched for hours and couldn't. He actually said in an interview in so many words, and I am paraphrasing here, but basically he's a flat earther because he never got married and had kids and had lots of time on his hand. I mean, really, Mark? Is that your only justification for being what's basically a lol cow? And even your own mother, when you told her that you joined the flat earth, whatever the hell it's called, what did she say?
Oh, Mark, what are you on to now?
And that's your own mother. That should be a pretty good indication to you that she doesn't approve of what you're doing. And of course, you're a flat earther, so believing in other conspiracy theories is a given. The fact that flat earth was the last one, though, is a little bit confusing, because flat earth can quite often be like the gateway conspiracy, the one that leads you down the rabbit hole, that then turns you into an anti-vaxxer and a climate change denier and a moon landing denier. You know, you've got to doubt them all to be a flat earther. And if you haven't clicked the like button yet, please do it now, because the like button is the new magic button on YouTube. It tells YouTube that this video is worth showing to other people. And if you've got the hype feature, that is helping tremendously. So hype the video as well. And I'll finish by saying this. The Truman Show is not a documentary.
In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Out of everything that's on the internet, this is the best thing.
In a world overflowing with conspiracy theories, it's getting harder to tell who actually believes what they're saying and who's just figured out how to make money from it. David Weiss falls firmly into the second category. He's built a brand, a following, and a steady income by convincing people that the planet we live on isn't round at all, but a stationary disc that's part of one huge lie. And not out of curiosity, not out of conviction, but because he's figured out how to turn people's ignorance into cold, hard cash. So the question we're asking isn't whether the Earth is round. That one was settled thousands of years ago. But what I do want to know is, who is David Weiss? Where did he come from? And why, in the name of all things spherical, does he keep insisting that the Earth is flat? If you try looking David Weiss up online, you'll hit a wall. You'll find physicists, psychologists, lawyers, all respectable people who just happen to share the same name. But the one telling you the Earth is flat, he barely exists. Before Flat Earth Dave, there is almost no trace of him, no professional background, no published work, no credentials that explain how he became an expert on the shape of the planet. Just a bloke who appeared online one day claiming to have seen through the greatest lie in human history.
To show that I am above the counter, the flat Earth, I'm going to just slide this along a perfectly smooth flat Earth. And I'm guessing that it doesn't set.
And that absence isn't an accident. In the world of conspiracies, a blank past is a blank canvas. It lets you write your own story. It's the perfect origin for a grifting turd bag. Anonymous enough to seem like anyone, yet confident enough to sound like someone.
Gravity's an unproven theory. You got me. You know, mass attracting mass, it's so silly. And then detect motion. The Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. That's faster than the speed of sound. So when you watch the sunset, is the sun just going away peacefully as you see it in the local sky? Or
or are you spinning, falling over backwards faster than the speed of sound, and the sun's kind of staying still?
Probably the second one.
Yeah, that's what you're taught, but that's
Weiss built his entire identity around that narrative. He didn't need qualifications, he needed a revelation. Science, he says, isn't science, it's faith in the globe. And he, conveniently, has the truth that the experts refuse to see.
How convenient is that? Wow.
It's not enlightenment, it's branding. The story of a man who escaped the system sells a lot better than the truth about gravitational pull. Trust me, it does. So, how do you defend a belief that falls apart the second you measure it? Well, to put it simply, you don't. Ask him for curvature calculations or distance proofs, and he'll tell you he can't verify the maths. Instead, he leans on what feels right. If the horizon looks flat, then the Earth must be flat. It's the scientific method rewritten as a gut feeling. That's the pattern. Turn complexity into conspiracy.
Now, we have the space station. We see those guys up there flipping their stuff around, right? But
floating water,
playing, just playing games
Screw
all the time.
Gravity, no gravity.
Right.
There.
Yeah. So they do all sorts of crazy stuff where they're showing us, where they try to show us. They do it in 0G planes. One of the ways they do it, and on the image I'm showing you right now, a guy's going around the corner, and there is no corners on a 0G plane, so he fades out. You can see through him as he goes around the corner. That just shows you that there's CGIing. You could see through the astronaut. And other times, they're playing with things, and they're manipulating stuff in space. It's called alter. What's the name of it? It's augmented reality, where they're manipulating computer objects. So they're looking either with contact lenses or they're looking at a screen, and they're maneuvering objects around.
Physics becomes faith, astronomy becomes indoctrination, and every expert is part of a shadowy cabal whose only goal is to keep you misinformed. When he does try to talk science, it's usually worse.
Here's a little experiment you can do. You get a flashlight and flash it on the floor 3 feet in front of you. Okay, so from your feet to it is 3 feet, about, whatever. And then spin around, take 1 minute to make a full rotation. Okay? And now you drew a circle 6 feet in diameter, 3 foot radius, right? And then point the light 6 feet away from you. The light has barely moved. It just changed its angle just a tiny little bit. And then spin around at the same rate. You just drew a 12-foot radius circle in the same amount of time without this ever moving. Its focal point just moved just a little bit. Just a little bit. I'm not saying that's how it works. I'm saying there's an example of how it could work.
He's claimed that spacecraft should melt in the thermosphere because it's thousands of degrees hot, ignoring the fact that there's barely any air to transfer heat. He argued that you can't get sunburnt in winter, apparently unaware that snow reflects sunlight like a mirror. These aren't careless mistakes from Dave either. They're tactics. He takes something that sounds technical, strips away the context, and sells the confusion back to his audience as proof that science can't be trusted.
Do you remember where they told you stars come from? Mm-hmm. Do you remember nebulas? Mm-hmm. Right, so they showed us the Crab Nebula, and like, this is dust and gas in space. Well, that's a problem. Dust and gas in a space vacuum, that's impossible. Let's just pretend there is. And they say that sometimes the gases will start compiling and it'll create a sun. Why doesn't the entire nebula just compile into there? So it makes it says, okay, I've got a sun the size of our sun or the size of Betelgeuse, which is like 1 billion times bigger than our sun. And it says, okay, I'm done accumulating gas, and now I'm gonna pop out like a ping pong ball machine and park myself somewhere. None of it makes any sense whatsoever.
The formula works. Confidence beats accuracy every time. And for David Weiss, the only thing flatter than the Earth is the learning curve of the people paying attention. Eventually, words just weren't enough. Weiss needed a product, something his followers could hold, download, and more importantly, pay for.
It's time you learned the truth of our world and connected with like-minded people. The Flat Earth Sun, Moon and Zodiac Clock app by Blue Water Bay. Find your tribe and take our world back.
But, like most things in this story, the reality was less spiritual and more cynical. Now, in 2022, users discovered that Weiss's app was quietly collecting their location data and sharing it with third parties. The community that spends every waking hour warning about government surveillance had been handing over their coordinates to a man who told them the sky was fake. And for a movement built on distrust, that should have been the breaking point. But it wasn't. Instead of turning on Weiss, his followers turned on the story itself. They called it a smear campaign, a media setup, another round of mainstream lies. Because once you build your identity on suspicion, even evidence of betrayal becomes just more proof that you were right all along. The app tracked more than just their data. It tracked their faith in David Weiss. So by the time the scandal hit, most of them had already paid for the next update. Every conspiracy has got a breaking point, a single flaw that should collapse the whole thing if reason still mattered. For flat earthers, it's Antarctica.
The globe science community lies about. For example, the 24-hour sun in Antarctica doesn't work on a flat earth. It works in the north, but not in the south. Well, guess what? There's thousands of videos of the 24-hour sun from Alaska and Norway and, very northern places. You can book vacations and go and watch it in June, right? But in December, the same thing should happen in Antarctica, and it doesn't.
Now, in their model, Antarctica isn't a continent. It's an enormous ice wall, circling the world like a cosmic fence to stop the oceans from spilling over into space. It's dramatic. It's cinematic. It's also completely impossible. The problem is sunlight. Now, on a flat Earth, the sun should rise and set across the entire world every single day. But in Antarctica, it doesn't. For weeks at a time, the sun just doesn't set. Something only possible on a sphere tilted on its axis. And that contradiction gave rise to their favourite cover story, the 1959 Antarctic Treaty.
Antarctica is protected by the nations of the world under an agreement called the Antarctic Treaty, including the Protocol on Environmental Protection. The Antarctic Treaty is from 1959. The treaty started with 12 nations, and since then it's been subscribed to by many others, and so we have a large group of countries in the world who are involved in this management arrangement. Historically, a number of nations, including Australia, had claims to Antarctic territory, and because of the potential that those claims could become contentious, the Antarctic Treaty that set aside those claims, and so Antarctica under the treaty was dedicated to peaceful use and scientific activity and scientific cooperation.
Now, in the minds of flat earthers, it isn't a global agreement about science and preservation. It's a military pact to hide the truth about the edge of the world. And then one day, someone decided to call their bluff. Enter Will Duffy.
It took me over a year to come up with the final experiment. Every time I would come up with an idea, it would just never work. And then one day, I got it. But I should probably go back to the very beginning. I'm Will Duffy, and I pastor a small church in Colorado. The day was August 2nd, 2021. I was scrolling through Facebook, and a friend of mine, her name is Wendy, she posted something about flat Earth. And at first, I thought she must be joking, but there was no punchline. So I read the comments, and it seemed genuine. This was very peculiar to me. How could someone today, in the 21st century, think the Earth is flat?
Will launched the final experiment, an expedition to Antarctica designed to settle the question once and for all. Will put up the money himself, $100,000, and invited 10 flat earthers and 10 flat earth debunkers to travel to Union Glacier Camp and witness the 24-hour Antarctic sun with their own eyes, completely free of charge. A few actually went. Now, Dave Weiss was offered a spot on the trip but turned it down instantly. Oh yeah, I wonder why.
There is no midnight sun in Antarctica.
What they saw in Antarctica matched exactly what physics had predicted for centuries. The sun circling the horizon without setting. 4 days, continuous daylight. No dawn, no edge, no cover-up. For a brief moment, it looked like it might change something. But it didn't. Instead of accepting what they'd witnessed, the final experiment tore the flat Earth community apart from the inside. The flat earthers who did accept what they saw were immediately ostracized and discredited by the same people who had once labeled them friends and truth seekers. The easiest thing to deny is the evidence right in front of you. Because for flat earthers, the goal isn't to find the truth. It's to protect the story that gives them purpose. Now, at this point, it's clear that Dave Weiss does not believe in science. He believes in the business of disbelief. Flat Earth for him isn't a theory, it's a product. The podcasts, the merch, the app, the speaking gigs, they all depend on one thing: keeping the lie alive. If he admits the Earth is round, the entire empire collapses, the followers disappear, the income stops. He becomes just another guy who was wrong on the internet. So he doubles down. Every debunk, every failed prediction, every contradiction becomes proof that they are trying to silence him. Because at its core, the Flat Earth movement is not about science. It's about belonging. It's about distrust. It's about the comfort of feeling like you know something that everyone else doesn't. In the end, Flat Earth was never really about the shape of the planet. It was about the people who realized there's money to be made from doubt. And for David Weiss, that doubt has been more valuable than any proof could ever be. Because if the truth doesn't pay, there will always be somebody willing to sell the lie.
I don't think so. No, 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 no. I don't think so. No, 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 no. It's never, ever, 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 ever gonna happen.